was Christmas Eve, the very coldest day of the year, and little Marushka sat sobbing and shivering in the corner. Her stepsister, Helena, and her stepmother did not like her. They called her names and made her do all the hard housework. And why? Simply because Marushka was beautiful and they were jealous of her. Marushka, came the harsh voice of her stepmother. Marushka, come here at once. Marushka dried her eyes on her apron and walked slowly into the next room. Hurry up, girl, her stepmother snapped. Your stepsister, Helena, would like some fresh violets for Christmas. Go into the woods at once and fetch them for her. But stepmother, Marushka said quietly, it is winter time. There are no violets in the woods. Then you must walk until you find some, Helena sneered from her comfortable chair on the other side of the room. Now go, the stepmother ordered, or I will give you a beating you will never forget. Marushka nodded and said nothing more. She wrapped herself up in the warmest clothes she could find and set off through the deep snow to look for a bunch of fresh violets. She walked, and she walked, and she walked, weeping with every step. It will freeze to death out here, she wept, which was exactly what her stepmother and stepsister had planned to happen. But suddenly she saw a light burning bright at the top of a little hill. So she hurried there as fast as her frozen feet would carry her. When she arrived, she found 12 men sitting silently around a fire. 3 were very old. 3 were a little younger. 3 were younger still, and the last 3 were no older than boys. Marushka did not know it, of course, but these were the 12 months of the year. What do you want? Asked the oldest of them all. I've come to pick violets, Marushka shivered. But this is my month, December, said the old man. There are no violets in the forest now. I know, answered Marushka, shivering harder still. But my stepmother says she will beat me if I do not return with them. I see, said the old man. Then we must do something about that. Brother March, he called, come, take my place. One of the younger men stood up and traded places with old December, and soon everything began to change. The snow melted, a robin redbreast appeared, buds sprang out from the bare tree branches. Suddenly, it was spring. There are violets aplenty now, said Brother March. Pick them quickly and take them to your family. Marushka thanked the man, scooped up a bunch of violets, and hurried back home. Her stepmother and stepsister were surprised to see her, but they were even more surprised when she reached into her coat and pulled out the violets. But how? Where did you find them? Asked Helena. In the forest, up on the little hill, said Marushka matter-of-factly. Then she went straight to bed. The next morning, Marushka's stepmother shook her awake. Get up, you lazy girl, she shouted. Your stepsister Helena would like a bowl full of strawberries for her Christmas breakfast. You must go into the woods and find some. But it's winter, cried Marushka. There are no strawberries. Do as I say, her stepmother shouted again, or I will give you a beating you will never forget. So once again, Marushka bundled herself up and trudged out into the snow. This time, she headed straight for the little hill. The 12 months were still there, sitting around their fire. What do you want this time? Asked old December. Strawberries, answered Marushka, more than a little embarrassed. For my stepsister. And if you do not return with them, asked December, then it's a beating I will never forget. I see, December nodded. Brother June, come, take my place. Soon it was summer on the top of that little hill, so Marushka filled her apron with sweet fresh strawberries. Thank you again, she said to the men, and she hurried back home. I don't believe it, cried Helena, when Marushka had returned. But it didn't take her long to gobble down every berry. Apples, she shouted, the strawberry juice still dripping from her greedy lips. I want apples now. Go, fetch me some. But it's winter, Marushka tried to explain, and there are no apples. No apples, grinned Helena. Don't tell me that. I'm sure there are plenty of apples on that little hill of yours. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there are plenty of good things up there you've never told us about. You want to keep them for yourself, don't you? Well, we'll see about that. And before Marushka or her stepmother could stop her, Helena burst out of the door and rushed off into the woods. She raced through the snow, hardly thinking about the cold, until she came at last to the place where the 12 months sat. What do you want? Asked December, exactly as he asked Marushka. Mind your own business, old man, snapped Helena. I'm looking for apples. My stepsister Marushka has already brought me violets and strawberries, so I'm sure there are apples out here too. December frowned. He didn't like this rude girl, nor the way she spoke of her sister. So he raised his own ancient arms, and the fiercest of December winds began to blow. A blinding snowstorm followed, so Helena wandered about, lost in the blizzard and the cold. When she did not return that night, her mother wandered out into the snow in search of her, and she too was lost. As for Marushka, she never wanted to go out in the snow in the first place, so she built up a warm fire, moved from her corner to a place in front of the hearth, and had her merriest Christmas ever.